Welcome back, friends. Today, we've got a heartwarming tale from Fairhaven, Tennessee, a story of courage, loyalty, and second chances that'll tug at your heartstrings. Picture this, a little girl. Her trusty golden retriever, and a day that changes everything. It's the kind of story that reminds us family isn't just blood, it's who stands by you when the world gets tough. If you love stories that lift your spirit and keep you hooked, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a single one. Let's dive in. The sun hung low over Willow Creek Park in the small town of Fairhaven, Tennessee, casting golden streaks across the grass on March 25, 2025. It was the kind of spring afternoon that usually buzzed with kids chasing frisbees and families grilling burgers. But today, an eerie stillness clung to the air. 8-year-old Emily Harper trudged along the winding path, her sneakers scuffing the gravel, her honey-blonde ponytail swaying with each determined step. Beside her padded Bailey, a golden retriever whose muddy vest hid the patches marking him as a K9 service dog. Emily's small hand rested lightly on his back, drawing comfort from his steady presence as they headed toward Fairhaven Memorial Hospital. A mile away. Emily wasn't like most kids her age. Orphaned at 5 when her parents, both Army reservists, died in a training accident overseas, she'd been raised by her grandfather, Henry Grayson, a retired K9 handler with a weathered face and a heart as big as the Smoky Mountains. Henry had been her rock, filling her days with stories of courage and teaching her to tend the roses in their modest backyard. But now, at 74, Henry lay in the hospital's palliative care unit, his body ravaged by lung cancer from years of smoking Chesterfields. Emily clutched a battered backpack, its straps digging into her shoulders. Inside was a gift, a hand-drawn picture of their family, including Bailey, wrapped in tissue paper. She'd spent hours on it, determined to give it to him today, a day Henry had called special in his gravelly whisper the night before. The shortcut through Willow Creek was Bailey's idea, or so Emily liked to think. His ears twitched toward the path, guiding her with the confidence only a dog trained by a master like Henry could muster. Bailey wasn't just a pet, he was a lifeline. Part of a program Henry had pioneered, pairing retired military K9s with kids who needed them. Bailey could sense Emily's seizures before they struck, nudging her to sit or fetching help with uncanny precision. His navy blue vest, now caked with mud from a puddle they'd crossed, bore the faded emblem of his service history, though most folks in Fairhaven just saw a loyal golden retriever. As they neared the park's old wooden pavilion, the rumble of engines broke the silence, low and growling, like thunder rolling down the valley. Emily froze, her hazel eyes widening as a dozen motorcycles rounded the bend, their chrome glinting menacingly in the fading light. The riders wore leather jackets emblazoned with a jagged crow emblem, the Iron Crows, a gang that had rolled into Fairhaven months ago, leaving whispers of trouble in their wake. Leading them was Vic Malone, a hulking figure with a grizzled beard and eyes like chipped ice. He swung off his bike, boots crunching gravel, and fixed his gaze on Emily, who stood clutching Bailey's fur. "Well, looky here," Vic drawled, his voice a rough blade cutting through the quiet. "A little girl all alone. Shouldn't be wandering where you don't belong, kid." His crew dismounted, forming a loose circle around her, their engines idling like restless beasts. Emily's heart thudded against her ribs. She didn't know Vic, didn't understand the cold fury in his stare. But she recognized danger when she saw it. "I'm just going to see my grandpa," she said, her voice small but steady, manners drilled into her by Henry shining through her fear. "He's in the hospital. Please let me pass." Vic's lip curled into a sneer. "Hospital, huh? You're Tom Grayson's kin, ain't ya? I'd know that look anywhere, same eyes as that bastard who ruined my life." He pulled a crumpled photo from his jacket, glancing at it before glaring at her again. "Your daddy cost me everything, my brother, my future. Been huntin' his family for years. And here you are, delivered like a damn gift. Emily shook her head, confusion knotting her brow. My dad was Daniel Harper. He died when I was little. I don't know any Tom Grayson. But Vic wasn't listening. His massive hand shot out, grabbing her arm with bruising force. You're lying, just like he taught ya. Tell me where he's hiding, or I'll make you wish you had. Bailey's stance shifted, his gentle demeanor hardening. A low growl rumbled in his chest, lips peeling back to reveal gleaming teeth. Vic barely glanced at him, scoffing. What's this mutt gonna do? Bark me to death? He twisted Emily's arm. And with a sickening crack, the bone gave way. Her scream shattered the stillness, a sound so raw it seemed to stop time. She crumpled to the ground, clutching her twisted arm. Tears streaming down her face as pain seared through her small body. But Vic didn't see what was coming. Bailey's muddy vest had hidden his true nature, and now, with his charge in danger, the K-9 training Henry had instilled kicked in. 80 pounds of golden fury launched at Vic, jaws clamping onto his forearm with surgical precision, not his throat, a calculated choice to disable. Not kill. Vic roared, blood soaking his sleeve as Bailey's grip held firm, twisting with practiced efficiency to throw the big man off balance. The knife Vic fumbled for clattered to the dirt. Useless against the dog's relentless focus. The other crows froze, stunned by the sudden shift. That's no damn pet, one shouted, backing toward his bike as Bailey's vest shed mud, revealing the K-9 patch in full. It's a cop dog. Vic thrashed, cursing through gritted teeth, but Bailey adjusted with every move, pinning him until sirens wailed in the distance. Parkgoers had called for help. With a snarl, Vic stumbled back, clutching his mangled arm. This ain't over, kid, he spat, swinging onto his bike as his crew peeled out, engines roaring into the dusk. Bailey softened instantly. Nuzzling Emily's tear-streaked face, his tail sweeping once in reassurance. She whimpered, cradling her arm, but managed a shaky, "Good boy, Bailey. We gotta get to Grandpa." As the sirens grew closer, she leaned on her dog, the unbreakable bond between them her only anchor in a world suddenly turned upside down. The emergency room at Fairhaven Memorial buzzed with controlled chaos as the automatic doors hissed open, admitting Emily and Bailey into the fluorescent-lit haven. She staggered forward, her broken arm throbbing with every step, black spots dancing in her vision. Bailey barked once, a sharp, commanding sound that sliced through the noise, drawing every eye to the pale girl and her blood-streaked dog. A nurse, Clara Evans, dropped her clipboard and rushed over, her voice calm but urgent. "We've got a child with a traumatic injury, possible fracture. Let's move." Emily's knees buckled as Clara reached her, but Bailey pressed against her side, keeping her upright until orderlies swooped in with a stretcher. She clung to consciousness long enough to see Bailey standing guard, refusing to let anyone near without a careful sniff. Then darkness swallowed her. When she awoke, she lay on a treatment bed, her arm encased in a bright green cast from knuckles to elbow. The sharp pain had dulled to a steady ache, thanks to the dripping beside her. Bailey rested beneath the bed, his amber eyes tracking every move in the room. Dr. Michael Torres, a kind-eyed physician with graying temples, smiled down at her. "There's our tough little trooper. I'm Dr. Torres. Can you tell me your name?" "Emily Harper," she whispered, then bolted upright despite the ache. "Bailey, where's Bailey?" "Right here," Dr. Torres said, nodding downward. "Couldn't pry him away if we tried. Nurses said he growled at anyone who suggested the waiting room. Smart dog, he's the real deal, isn't he?" Relief washed over Emily. "He's my service dog. Grandpa trained him to stay with me. I need to see Grandpa Henry, he's upstairs." The doctor called this morning and said. Her voice cracked, unable to finish. Dr. Torres's expression softened, but his eyes held a weight she didn't fully grasp. Let's get that arm settled first, then we'll take you up. Can you tell me what happened? A man grabbed me in the park, Emily said, her voice steadied despite the memory. He thought I was someone else, said my dad ruined his life. He broke my arm, but Bailey stopped him. Dr. Torres's face hardened as he examined the bruising, confirming her story. He ran off with his motorcycle friends, but he said he'd find my grandpa. Clara paused her work on the cast, exchanging a worried glance with Dr. Torres. Security's on alert, he said firmly. And we're calling the police. No one's getting near your grandpa. Emily. You're safe here. As the cast dried, Emily's thoughts drifted to her backpack, still holding Henry's gift. My bag, I brought something for him, she murmured. Clara retrieved it from a cabinet, setting it beside her. It's all here, sweetie. Nothing's missing. The elevator ride to the palliative care floor was quiet, save for Bailey's soft panting as he pressed against Emily's legs. Dr. Torres broke the silence. Your grandpa talked about you and Bailey all the time during his treatments. Said you were his pride and joy, called Bailey his best pupil. Emily looked up, surprised. You knew him? Long chats during chemo, Dr. Torres said with a wistful smile. He'd tell me about his K9 days instead of complaining about the pain. Mentioned once he hoped someone from his past would show up before the end. Wonder if that's tied to what happened today. The doors opened to the hushed palliative care unit, a world apart from the ER's bustle. A security guard nodded as they passed. And Dr. Torres led her to a door marked, Grayson, H. He's been asking for you, he said softly. Refused his meds this morning to stay sharp till you got here. But Emily, he's weaker now. The cancer's taken a lot. She nodded, swallowing hard. He told me bodies get sick, but people stay the same inside. Dr. Torres's eyes crinkled with respect. Smart man. Ready? Inside, Henry lay small and frail beneath the white sheets, a shadow of the towering figure who'd taught her to whistle. But his gray eyes sparkled when he saw her. There's my sunshine. He rasped, voice thin but warm. Right on time, like always. Emily rushed to his side, tears spilling as she fumbled with her backpack. Grandpa, I made you something. His gaze sharpened at her cast. What happened to your arm, darlin'? Before she could answer, Bailey nosed up to the bed, paws resting gently on the edge. Henry's hand found the dog's head, a ritual as old as Emily's memory. Blood on his vest, he noted, his tone shifting to the clipped precision of his training days. Not yours. Report, Bailey. The dog whined softly, a sound almost like words, and Henry's face grew grave. Attacked, huh? And you defended her. Good boy. Emily nodded, lip trembling. A man named Vic thought I was someone else, said his name was Malone. He's looking for a Tom Grayson. Said he hurt his brother. He broke my arm, but Bailey stopped him. Henry's expression tightened, a flicker of recognition crossing his face. Victor Malone, he muttered, eyes drifting to a photo on his nightstand, him in uniform. Decades younger, with two soldiers. One was her dad, Daniel, the other, a broad man with Vic's icy eyes. Grandpa, who is he? Emily asked, picking up the photo. Henry sighed. A sound heavy with years. That's Vic, before he lost his way. He was your dad's best friend, closer than brothers. Something went wrong, and he's been chasing shadows ever since. He met Dr. Torres's gaze. Doc, give us a minute. Family stuff. Dr. Torres stepped out, leaving them alone. Henry took her good hand. Emily, there's things I should have told you, about Vic. About your dad, about why Bailey's with you. That Tom Grayson he's after? That's tied to us, in a messy, painful way. I thought it was buried, but some ghosts don't stay down. Outside, Dr. Torres scribbled notes when a nurse approached, voice low. Security says a big guy with a bandaged arms in the lobby, asking for Henry Grayson. Motorcycle jacket. Getting pushy. Dr. Torres's pen stilled. Call the police. Lock that room down, no one in but staff. Inside, Henry squeezed Emily's hand, unaware that the past was closing in. Fast and furious. The hospital room's quiet was shattered by a sharp knock. Dr. Torres burst in, his calm replaced by urgency. We've got to move you both, Victor Malone's here with his crew. Security's holding them, but we're relocating you to the secure wing. He unhooked Henry's monitors with swift hands. Emily clutched her backpack, Bailey growling softly as he positioned himself between her and the door. Henry shook his head, frail but firm. Vic was special forces, document hospital security won't stop him when he's mad. We need a better plan. Emily piped up, voice steady despite her fear. Bailey can protect us, he did before. Dr. Torres frowned. He's incredible, Emily, but we've got armed men in a hospital full of patients. Protocol says. A click at the window cut him off. A figure in a crow jacket slid it open, Detective Ethan Cole, undercover in Vic's gang, his lean frame slipping inside. Bailey lunged, but Henry's command stopped him. Hold. Bailey. He's friend, not foe. Ethan nodded at Henry. Vic's got the lobby locked down, 4 men, maybe armed. He's off the rails since that dog tore into him. Refused a doctor. Running on spite. Dr. Torres bristled. Who are you? Henry answered, police. My last trainee before I retired. How long you been with the Crows, Ethan? 10 months, Ethan said. Flashing a scar on his palm that matched Henry's. Long enough to know Vic's obsessed with Tom Grayson, but I didn't think he'd find you or mistake Emily for his kin. The hallway erupted in shouts, security clashing with someone at the elevators. Ethan gestured to the service door. Staff corridors to the admin wing, fewer eyes, safer route. Henry gripped Emily's hand. Stay with Ethan and Bailey, promise me. No matter what. Tears welled, but she nodded. You're coming too, Grandpa. Dr. Torres wheeled Henry out, Ethan leading, Bailey alert beside Emily. They nearly reached the service doors when an elevator dinged. Vic stepped out, his bandaged arm dripping red, eyes locking on them. Henry Grayson, he bellowed, voice dripping venom. 20 years too late to hide. Henry straightened, dignity in his frail frame. Vic, still blaming the world for Pete's choices, I see. Vic's face twisted at his brother's name. Choices? Pete was framed by your precious Tom Grayson, left to die while Grayson ran off with secrets and cash. Now you're shielding his spawn with attack dogs. Ethan edged closer, hand on his hidden gun, as Bailey growled. Get Emily out, Henry whispered to Ethan. Vic brandished a knife. No one's leaving till I know where Grayson's hiding. I've lost everything chasing him, my career, my family. Emily stepped forward, brave despite her cast. I'm Emily Harper. Not a Grayson. My parents died in the army. Please, let us go. Vic laughed bitterly. Good little liar, just like your granddad taught ya. You've got Grayson's blood, I see it. Henry's voice cut through. Look at her, Vic. She's 8. Tom's kid would be grown. You're chasing the wrong ghost. Doubt flickered in Vic's eyes, but rage won out. Then she's his grandkid, close enough. He lunged, but Ethan drew his gun. Police. Stand down, Vic. Cops are swarming this place, there's no out. Vic froze, knife trembling. No out since Pete died, shot with Grayson's prints on the gun. Your hero framed him, Henry, and vanished with the intel. Henry's voice softened. Tom didn't frame Pete. They were both undercover, rooting out corruption. Pete found proof, brass selling secrets. Tom tried to save him, but they got hit. Tom and his wife went into hiding after witness protection. They're gone now, Vic. Cancer took Tom, a crash took her. Arlington, Section 60. Plot 8219. Check it. Vic staggered, the knife slipping. You're lying. Henry shook his head. Your bosses fed you lies to keep you hunting the truth. Pete and Tom were scapegoats. Emily's my son's girl, Daniel's. Nothing to do with this. Vic's gaze darted to Emily, then Bailey, then Henry, realization dawning. Daniel's kid? Your boy from the squad? Henry nodded. Tears in his eyes. You were his brother too, Vic. He'd have found you, but you were gone. Security stormed in, weapons drawn. Vic dropped the knife, collapsing as cuffs snapped on. What have I done? He whispered, staring at Emily's cast. Daniel's eyes, how'd I miss it? Henry reached out, fingers brushing Vic's. Truth's hard when pain blinds ya. An alarm blared, code silver. More crows burst through, makeshift weapons raised. Ethan fired a warning shot, but a fourth, unseen, grabbed Henry's wheelchair, a scalpel at his throat. Safe passage, or she's done, he yelled. Henry stayed calm. It's okay, Emily. Bailey's got you. With a blur of gold, Bailey struck, disarming the man without harming Henry. Chaos erupted, then stilled as Henry's heart monitor flatlined. Dr. Torres rushed him back to the room, but Emily knew, Grandpa was gone. A month later, Henry's clapboard house glowed with fresh paint, a ramp now leading to the porch where Emily sat. Coloring a picture of her new family, her, Bailey, Ethan, and Vic. Her green cast bore doodles from friends, and Bailey dozed at her feet. Vic, transformed from biker to caretaker, carried groceries inside, his beard trimmed, his eyes softer. Ethan dropped by, tossing mail on the table. VA approved Vic's rehab, PTSD help, job training. Henry's doing. Emily handed Vic an envelope, his guardianship hearing. Grandma wanted you to look after me, she said, echoing Henry's letter from a safety deposit box, revealing Vic as her intended guardian if he redeemed himself. Vic knelt, tears falling as Bailey nudged his hand, accepting him. I don't deserve it, but I'll try, for Daniel, for Henry, for you. They visited the cemetery together, laying flowers for Henry, Daniel, and Pete. Emily's small hand slipped into Vic's. Grandpa said families who stands by you. In that moment, a broken past began to mend, guided by a dog's loyalty and a child's heart. So, what's the takeaway from Emily, Bailey, and Vic's journey? It's simple but powerful. Our mistakes don't define us. What matters is the courage to make things right. Henry knew that redemption isn't easy. But it's worth it, and sometimes it's the ones we least expect, like a loyal dog or a broken man, who show us the way. Life's messy, but love and second chances can heal even the deepest wounds. What do you think? Ever seen a second chance change someone's story? Drop a comment below, give us a like if this hit home, and let's keep the conversation going.